will post this if anyone needs to refer back to it. It's just 6:30 right now, so a couple more minutes, but welcome everyone to our meeting about kindergarten. We really wish this was not on Zoom.
I know it. But we're excited to share all the information with you. And definitely pass it on that we'll be recording this so people can view it if they weren't able to be here.
Maybe they're swimming or something, or running through a sprinkler. Well, people can join as they go along, so I think we can get started. There's about 40 people here, and we're excited to learn more about kindergarten.
Great. So I'm going to start us off. My name is Heidi Robb, and I'm the interim principal right now at the primary school. I'm the assistant principal, but our principal's on maternity leave, so I'm filling in for the time being. I would like to just do introductions real quick. You'll see on the screen Caroline Chapman. She's our Director of Communications. So a lot of the things that you'll see come home this summer and throughout the school year actually come from Caroline. And we also have with us Marianne Pavone. Mrs. Pavone is one of our dearest kindergarten teachers, and she's also our grade level leader. So she's here just to help us with any questions that we may have, and just so you can see a familiar face that your children will see come this fall when they join us at the primary school. Just a couple little logistics. I have just a short presentation that we'll start out with that really we're hoping just answers some of the questions that you might have. But if you do have a question, you'll see on your screen that there's a Q&A button, either along the bottom or along the top. If at any point you have a question, go ahead and type it in there. And then at the end of the presentation, we'll take some time to answer your questions. And if for some reason we don't get to all the questions or we don't have an answer, we will get back to you to make sure that we get those questions answered for you. So again, use that Q&A button. That's what we'll use to monitor those questions at the end. Advance the slide. Okay, so the first slide here, we just wanted to share some pictures. These are our kindergarten teachers. This is the great and mighty kindergarten team. A lot of teachers, you'll see we will have 13 sections next year. Some of the faces are familiar. Some of them are new to kindergarten. If you might have had a child that went through kindergarten here, great teachers. So just kind of take a look at those. One of those lovely faces will be your child's teacher in the fall when we welcome them here. I want to go over just some dates for you. Right now in June, we're working on that registration process. And so far we appreciate, I should have looked today to see what we're up to for registration, but that process seems to be going really well online. Thank you all for your patience. I've gotten some emails saying I didn't get the email. So the more we can communicate, the better. But you should have received an email to register. If you did not, that might be because you didn't do the pre-registration. That can be found on our district website. If you just go to student registration, there's a button there. When you click on that, you'll fill in some information, and then within a day or two, you'll get an email with some specific information to your child regarding registration. We would like all that paperwork by June 19th. So that's filling out all those forms, as well as the one form where you have to upload a lot of information. We know that there are some pieces of information that you may not be able to get. I know I still can't get my own children in for a well visit right now, so I wouldn't have those updated forms. But what we would ask that you do is put in the most updated information that you do have, And then once you're able to get more updated information, just provide that. At this point, we don't have any guidance from New York State as far as what do we do if we can't get, if immunizations aren't up to date or physicals aren't up to date, but I imagine we'll get some guidance at some point. In July and August, some of the things that you can expect. Screening is something that typically happens in May. And I know this is something Marianne works really hard at with the team. She really enjoys meeting some of our new kiddos before they come in and gets to work with them a little bit. But unfortunately, this is just a process that we aren't going to be able to do. The very earliest we could get some students into the building would be probably mid-July, and we don't even know if that, and we really have to start that placement process. So for this year, we will not be doing screening as we have done in the past. At some point in July or August, we'll provide supply lists for you for the supplies that your child will need to be prepared for kindergarten. And then at mid to end of August, you'll get the teacher placement. And that's when you'll find out who your teacher, or excuse me, what teacher your child has. And there'll be a nice letter from the teacher welcoming you and ways to contact them. Something else that you'll get over the summer is transportation details. So that will be coming from our transportation department. And you'll get the bus number that your child will be riding. We often use characters for some of our students that may not know their numbers yet. Some of the numbers are pretty big, so they have pictures. So they might be on Tinkerbell bus, for example. So you'll get that bus number and the bus character. And then you'll also get the pickup and drop off times for whatever location you put down on your transportation form. And you'll also get a bus tag. And I'll share a little bit more about that bus tag in just a few minutes. So those are all things that you can expect over the summer to receive from the school. And then in September, this first one is the kindergarten orientation and bus run. And what that is, it's still over the summer because that Wednesday, September 2nd date is actually the Wednesday before Labor Day. And this is a time where students that will be riding the bus actually get to ride the bus with their parents to the school. Or if they're going to be dropped off, you can bring your child that day. And all of the children go to their classroom and get to meet their teacher. And they do a little activity with the teacher and all the adults will come into a different location. And we have some tables set up with Girl Scouts there, Boy Scouts, our school social worker, YMCA, some different community organizations, just so that you can become more familiar with those. Now, one thing we want to put out there is we do know that we will be social distancing. So we have some different options of what that might look like. But at this point, we're going ahead with one date, Wednesday, September 2nd, but definitely be looking for communication over the summer because there's a possibility that that could look a little different this year. Then right after Labor Day, we have parent meetings, and that is where you come in to meet with your child's kindergarten teacher and have a little parent-teacher conference before the students come. And then on Thursday, September 10th is a great day because that is the day we get to welcome your little ones into the primary school. It's such an exciting day for us. We really look forward to that. Communication. Different ways we'll communicate. The teachers, the way they're going to communicate throughout phone call or even use something called Brave Square. That's the way that the district communicates. And Caroline's going to talk to us a little bit about Brave Square.
So Brave Square is an app that we introduced actually during the closure. And if you have other children in the district or you attended UPK this past school year, you will find that you already are using Brave Square or have received communication through Brave Square. What it is an app in the App Store that you can download. If you do not currently have a student in the Canandaigua City School District, they went to preschool elsewhere, then you won't be able to access the information until we switch over at the beginning of July, and we'll send out a communication letting you know that it's available and open to you. So essentially, It allows you to easily communicate with your teachers through a messaging feature, and it also will be where you can receive central communication messages from the school district. Usually we're not huge at sending a lot of communication over the summer, but I have a feeling this summer is going to be a little different than that. So our plan is to send consistent communication, especially when news is decided upon for the start of the school year. As of right now, we're making plans, like Heidi said, to move forward and have a start of the school year with all the things in place. I will also be working on the district's calendar over the summer, and with the district's calendar, we're putting every event on there like they're ready to happen. Everything is obviously tentative, and we really know that some things may have to be changed slightly, or we're hoping that we can come back in full waves in the fall, but we all know that that is also a possibility that there might be some changes. So we want to communicate over the summer, and so download that app. You can receive notifications, you can customize the settings, and over the year, next year, when we return to school, there's a lot of great features such as conference signups and volunteer sign-up lists and signing up to bring different treats into school or something like that. All that is going to be done through Brave Square, along with online permission slips and many more things like that. So download the app. It won't be accessible unless you already have students in the district until early July, but it's going to be a great way for you to utilize the communication system for the district.
And this is how the district will be communicating this summer, as well as myself with all of you. Even if you don't download the app, it will come right to your email. So it'll look like an email to you so that you're not actually missing that communication, even if you do not download it.
Correct. And that'll also be moving forward. It's going to be the same tool that we use if there is a snow day to get calls from the superintendent. So we're trying to drive more and more communication through this tool so that there's many different tools for our staff to use. And so the switch was to drive more communication through this one spot. So definitely check it out. And if you have questions, feel free to email us. Our website does also have all the communications on it, but this is going to come as a pop-up notification right to your phone.
This next slide has just some questions that we often find that families are asking as students start kindergarten. So I wanted to start just by talking a little bit about the bus. So as many of you know, our students ride the bus together kindergarten through 5th grade. And that can seem very daunting to someone that, is 4 or 5 years old getting on the bus. But I do want you to know that our kindergarten students do sit in the front of the bus. And they also have a different first day than grades 1 through 12. So grades 1 through 12 will start the day before. And then on their second day of school is the first day for kindergarten. And arrival and dismissal, it may, again, seem very overwhelming with that bus loop. But we do have extra staff on the bus loop. And you'll see on the screen is an example bus tag. Every student that rides the bus has a bus tag that looks something similar to this. So that way, when the child's on the bus loop and they kind of look lost and they're afraid to say anything, we can look right at that tag. We know exactly where they need to go, whether it be as they're arriving to school or to get on the bus, so that the kids don't necessarily have to remember. But also know that the kindergarten teachers do walk the children to their buses, directly to their buses at the end of the day. They go out to the buses first before the rest of the kiddos are dismissed, and they individually or in little groups, they all walk around the bus loop together and make sure everybody gets where they belong. Our bus drivers do such a great job at welcoming the kindergartners and making sure that they're also taking attendance and that everybody is at the right space or in the right place. So do know that we treat all of our students with, the most love, but we do know that for kindergarten, that's very, very daunting to be on that bus loop. So we give them a little extra TLC just to make sure everybody knows where they're going. And then, believe it or not, a couple weeks in, they know right what they're doing and they're happy as can be, but we continue to walk them to the bus as long as they need it and until they're comfortable. So what to send with your child those first couple of days of school? Their backpack with their supplies. We ask that they have an extra set of clothes labeled with their name, and please keep that right in their backpack every single day in case something does get soiled. That way they do have something extra to wear and we don't have to call during the day. We ask that they bring a water bottle to school and also take it home and wash it every night and then bring a water bottle back the next day. And then sneakers are really the best option. We really do ask not to send children in flip-flops or any sort of sandal because we do like to run around and play, and the sneakers are the most safe option. If your child can't tie their sneakers, it's really helpful if they wear Velcro or something that doesn't need to be tied. Because as you can imagine, if you have 18 kiddos in a class and one teacher, can be a little bit of a struggle to tie all those sneakers. Plus we know this fall we're gonna really have to distance ourselves. So consider that as you're purchasing what does a typical day look? If you understand it outside, here's kind of a typical day, not necessarily in this order, but the different portions of the day. Every class starts with a morning meeting, which is really about building community and relationships, learning to listen to other students and respond appropriately and ask questions. And it's really one of my favorite times to pop into class, and it's really fun to be a part of morning meeting. English language arts, which is reading, writing, listening, and speaking. There's math, social studies, and science. Special, which is PE, art, music, and also library once a week. And then they have special and lunch and recess in just a minute. I do want to tell you that the beginning of the year in kindergarten, the focus really is on building that classroom community, establishing classroom routines, and then building that trust and friendship. So that's really important to all of us at the primary school in every single classroom, but we want your child's first experience in the primary school to really make sure that we're building that community and friendship within the kindergarten classroom. So that's what you can expect. For grading, your child's teacher will talk a little bit more about that as the first report card comes out, but we do standards-based reporting. So there aren't grades, a traditional grade, like we may have had in school. Really what the progress reports are noting how your child is progressing in meeting toward those standards. So that's what the report card will. And then if you look at the bottom on that right side, there's also some field trips. We don't know what that will look like next year. In kindergarten, there are enrichment opportunities for kindergarten students. There's also academic intervention in math and also in reading. And then some of our students qualify for some related services like occupational therapy or physical therapy or speech or counseling or some of those other services that we have. So specials. Our specials are on a rotating basis. We actually tried a new schedule this year and it seemed to be pretty successful. So on Mondays through Thursdays, your child will have art, music, and PE twice. And then on Friday, although this might sound confusing, it's really not too bad. We rotate that. So the first quarter of the year, so say September through probably sometime in November, your child would have their Monday special. So for example, if their schedule is art on Monday, PE on Tuesday, and Thursday's PE, the first quarter of the year, they would have art again on Friday. The second quarter of the year, they have their Tuesday special. Quarter is their Thursday special. And the reason we do it that way is just so that you can remember by day of the week, as opposed to having to know a 4-day rotating schedule. Is it day 1, day 2, and so forth. And we found our families found this to be much easier to remember what special their child had. And then library is scheduled 1 time per week. And so that will be dependent on your child's classroom, what day of the week it is, but it is a consistent schedule. So It may always be, for example, Wednesdays at 9:30, so that you know when to return library books. Lunch and recess. So lunch is 25 minutes, and the classroom teachers walk their students to the cafeteria, and they do walk them through the line and help them with all of those things to make sure they take all the right things and help them. They have cards to pay, so you can put money into an account. And so they help them get settled into their seats. And then we do have monitors in the cafeteria that supervise the children while the teachers go and eat their lunch. Directly after their lunch, they have recess for about 30 minutes. And either a classroom aide or monitor will pick a classroom up from the cafeteria and walk them to the playground, or if it's an indoor recess day, to their classroom. And that same monitor will supervise the children out on the playground or in the classroom. So some classrooms have aides, while others will have the monitors. So it's well supervised. It's another adult that your child will get to know throughout the school year. Recess to us is a very important part of the day where the kids get up and move and have fun with each other. And we go outside year round. We don't go outside if it's raining, or I believe the temperature is below 20, but don't quote me on that exact temperature. But if it feels 20 or below.
There's a question about recess in the chat. People wanted to know, the playgrounds are closed right now. So what if the playgrounds don't open?
Yeah, it's a great point. We're actually starting to consider that. Luckily for us, we have a lot of space outside. So it's my hope that we can find some things for kids to do outside and play if the playgrounds aren't open, in a way that they can, socially distance and be safe.
Yeah, with the fitness trail.
Is a great, what? I'm sorry?
Like utilizing the fitness trail or?
Yep. And just some of that green space running around. We definitely have to think of some other options compared to what we've done in the past with the playground equipment. And that's really a great into the next slide, which is really around distance learning, social distancing. And so, what can you expect this fall? And unfortunately, we don't have a ton of answers for you, but I do want to put some things out there that we do know, and we do know that we're doing. What I can tell you is I would say it's not going to feel like a typical year. Even if we have all of our students back in the school, we will have some guidelines from the CDC to make sure that we're keeping our students and our staff as safe as possible. So there might be things like the playground is closed, or there might be things where we can't share school supplies like we have in the past. So those are all of the things that we're working on right now. And we're coming up with a lot of different plans for a lot of different options because we just don't know what that will look like. But we'll keep you updated over the summer. The district is really planning these different, we're in these different planning stages, and we will continue to communicate through Brave Square when we do have information and when we know information. All kindergarten students will have access to iPads, and that's whether we are distance learning or not. We're one-to-one at Canandaigua, which means every student has access to a device. Our students in grades 1 through 12 have Chromebooks, but our kindergarten students have iPads. So again, regardless of whether they're in the classroom or not, we do have that resource and that tool for our kindergarten students to use. One thing we had thought of is are there maybe some families, depending on what learning looks like in the fall in the schools, might you decide not to send your child to kindergarten? You're on the fence thinking, I'm not sure if I wanted to start kindergarten this year or next year, and you've already registered them, and you make that decision come August that you don't want to. You can contact the email address up here, studentregistration@canandaiguaschools.org. And just let us know that you've decided to hold your child back a year and maybe not send them to kindergarten. And we do want you to know that there is that potential that we could be still doing distance learning. It is how we ended the year, which I'm sure many of you know. We just don't know what the fall will bring. I can tell you without certainty that our kindergarten team I can't even not mention the rest of the building and really district, but because I'm in the primary school and working with the kindergarten team, I'm just gonna really talk them up. Their team has been incredible, and the things that they have put out for their students to do is just amazing. They're working together as a team, and while it's not the same as being in the classroom, I can tell you that our kindergartners feel their love and their teachers in everything that they're doing. It's really been an incredible experience. Not that that's what we want to fall, but I can tell you that it'll still be a great experience with these kindergarten teachers. I'm going to leave this up here for you to copy any of these contacts down, but also know that they're on the website. So Amy Bennett is one of our office staff, and she's the one who's really doing a lot with kindergarten registration, which is why I'm putting her name out there, because if you do have questions, feel free to email her at bennetta@canandaiguaschools.org, and her phone number is also listed there. We are back in the schools on a limited basis, but even if not, the phones are forwarded, so someone is there during the day to answer any questions that you may have. And then right now I'm still serving as the interim principal. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me. If you want to call me, the best way to do that is through Amy, and she can get that message to me and I can give you a call back. So I think the one thing I realized I skipped as I'm looking down at my notes, I wanted Marianne to talk just briefly with all of you, like what were some activities and some things that you did for distance learning, just to put that out there for families so they have an idea of what they might expect if that were the case.
All right. First of all, to the class of 2033, on behalf of all my kindergarten colleagues, we welcome you to being a Brave in our school district. Remote learning was really a joint effort with family members, and sometimes it was family members that meant grandparents and teachers. And we acknowledged that some family members had to work off-site or on-site, and they still juggled the lessons, and whatever time frame worked best for them, they were able to complete many of the activities. Our lessons were guided by New York State standards. Some were review, some were new learning, and as if you're just new to Canandaigua School District, Braves Link and Brave Square and Schoology are going to be district websites that you're going to become familiar with. Our lessons were on slides that you were able to access in Schoology. They started just like the routine of a typical day. Like Heidi was talking about the importance of morning meeting. We started our slide first with a morning meeting, and then our lessons included phonics and sight vocabulary, reading, listening to stories, or oral reading practice. There was writing skills, math, fine motor, and handwriting. And the time frame, as I said, was flexible, that you could adjust, such that if you were a parent that wasn't home till night, you could do your lessons at night at that point. Directions for any online sites or lessons were always right there for you. When you completed your lessons, it was great for you to communicate with teachers what your child had seen. And I tell you, I received emails, or I did Zoom sessions, and it was great because the kids and I could see each other, but also they showed me evidence of their work. It could be a writing sample, it could be pictures that they'd done. And this was ongoing the entire time that we were doing.
Did we lose her?
We lost her. She'll come back.
There are some questions in the chat.
Field days.
Oh,
And
back.
You're back.
I'm back. Oh, sorry about that. Don't know how much I missed. Sorry. Well, let me just say that besides paper and pencil lessons, there were virtual field trips, there were hands-on activities, things to do indoors and outdoors. And one highlight, and we talked about today, was to watch chickens hatching, and it was really special. So you can see we had a wide variety of lessons. Heidi's already mentioned that the kids had iPads, and there were various academic programs and so many things on the iPads for the children to explore. And we were thankful that they could do research and they could continue and supplement our lessons with for reading and math. Tech support was awesome. Any question that you had, they were readily available for you to assist in any manner. I will say this experience was a way that we learned to adapt, and that the district, from every aspect, teacher all the way up to the top for our superintendent, support was ongoing, and we appreciate that. And as Heidi said, it doesn't, it's not exactly as being in the classroom. We missed the hugs, we missed the smiles, we missed the laughter, but the ongoing communication kept us going, and we appreciated all the support we got from the families.
Thanks, Marianne.
Mm-hmm.
So under normal circumstances, that's not how it would be done. There was a question around, are they learning from slides if this was in the kindergarten classroom? No, this was really just for the at-home learning, that distance learning question. A couple other questions I feel like I can kind of put together are around screening. So, you know, what if I think my child might need OT or PT or speech? How will we screen for that? That's going to have to be something that we do this fall when the children return to school in some way. It's just not looking like that's going to be able to happen over the summer, but that's definitely on our radar and something that we will be doing. If it's something that you're very concerned about, just let your child's teacher know too. That you can always request as a parent anything, but do know, because that screening didn't take place, that we will be doing something this fall to make sure that we are checking for those things. We also have what's called an IST process, that's instructional support team. So if you or your child's teacher feels like your child might need more support, that's a meeting that your child's teacher would come to and meet with a group of educators, and there's occupational therapists and speech pathologists and other teachers on there. And that's when they would say, you know, we think we might need some more support. And the team can work with the teacher to make sure that we are doing everything we can to support your child. So there'll definitely be ways to look for that. Question on the playground we answered. What should we as parents be doing to prepare our children for kindergarten? What should they know come September? Example, their ABCs, recognized numbers, specific books. Marianne, I'm going to let you take this one.
Oh gosh, you know what? I would just say, read, read, read. Do things with your child together. Count 1 to 10, 10 to 0. Just have fun, but do it like in doing hopscotch and just fun ways, not a drill fashion. We have children that come with various abilities, and wherever they are at, we will take them and we will teach them. Please don't feel that your child has to know.
So Marianne's starting to freeze up a little bit. Try again, Marianne. So I'll just continue. Just don't feel like you have to drill your child this summer. They're going to welcome every child with open arms. You know, I think that's important. I know writing their first name is something you could continue to work on with your children, but I think reading is such a great thing. Anything else, Marianne, you wanted to add in? I'm not sure she can.
I think she's frozen.
Um,
I can answer this question. In the past, kindergarten started on a Friday, but this year it's starting on a Thursday. So the way the school calendar worked, oh, are you back, Marianne?
I think so. Sorry about that.
No worries.
So the school calendar, this year, we are very tight between the start of school and when we get out in June. We have 180 required days for students. And so students this year start on a Wednesday, district-wide, grades 1 through 12, and then Thursday will be the first day of kindergarten. So we have started on a Friday in the past because school started on Thursday, but since school starting on a Wednesday this year, it starts on Thursday for kindergarten.
So another question is, I've heard some districts are eating lunch in their classrooms. How are we handling this? So in that CDC guideline, that is one of the suggestions, but we don't have anything set in stone as far as what September will look like. We're still in those planning phases, but please know that we are looking at that guidance and we are going to do what we can to keep all of us safe. And if that's what the guidance is at the time, then that's what we will make sure to do so that your child is safe. But we have not made that decision at this point. Going back to screening, there was something, how will you know then for enrichment? The screening that we do, really, that's not part of what we do for enrichment. The teachers do have some benchmark assessments that they do. And when I say assessments, I don't mean that we're going to be, drilling your children and having tests, but there are ways of kind of checking in and seeing where they're at. And that's what we will use to determine students that will be working with our enrichment teacher. And same thing for academic intervention services. It just takes time to get to know kids. That's not something we typically start September 1st. That's something we get to know kids and they get acclimated to their classrooms, and then we determine what some of those needs are. District policy on twins. We often at this point do leave that up to the parents. Some parents want their twins together and other families want their twins separated. So that's something that you can put on that parent placement form. And speaking of that, that's really what we're doing and using for placement for the fall because we don't have screening. So we have parent input and placement that we're getting from all of you, all of our families. Many of our students have attended a preschool, whether it be UPK on site at Canandaigua's primary or off site, or even at a preschool locally. And we have asked them for feedback. So typically we have a form that they fill out. This year we did it virtually and we actually are getting a lot more response than we typically do. Last time I checked, we were up to, I think, 93 people that had filled that out, and that's just from off sites. So the different organizations around here that have different preschools. So we're getting some information from that. We also have input from all of you in that child development form. So that's really what we're using to help us create balanced classrooms to the best of our ability. Based on our pre-registration, it looks like our class sizes will be between 17 and 18 students. We are going to monitor that very closely this summer to see what registration is. The sooner everybody registers, the more information we have. What ends up happening is a lot of people register at the end of August. We didn't know about those children, and that's when our class sizes tend to get a little bit bigger. So that's really why we're pushing people to get that registration done so that we can plan accordingly and have appropriate class sizes. But we will continue to monitor that.
There's a question about when will we be rolling out communication about what the fall will look like. We would love to be able to tell you what the fall, obviously to tell you what the fall would look like right now. At this point, the governor has not released any information about the fall. In fact, he just released information about commencement and he just released information about summer school very recently. So as soon as we know, we've been trying to be very transparent of when we find things out that we release it to you, but we often find out from the press conference of the governor, just like everyone else does. So there is some pressure from local people in government and from some different superintendents groups to put pressure on to find out if we can have a decision, by the middle of July, by late July. But at this point, we do not have any guidance on the timeline for what the fall will look like with regards to if we need more daycare or if people need to have alternative day plans. we are preparing for many different things. We're preparing to be at school all the time. We're preparing to be remote learning, and we are looking at hybrid models, though those are not preferred, and I don't think they're preferred by parents.
A couple more questions I saw. If our child attended UPK at Canandaigua Primary, will there be peers from their UPK class? Yes, we absolutely do that. We look at class lists, but not only if they attended Canandaigua Primary UPK, also the offsites. So we do know from that placement, whether if they went to Wings or Carola or any of those places, we often have lists from them. So we do know some peers that they were with, so that there is a familiar face with them as well. School hours, my apologies. I meant to put that in my presentation. I'm realizing I don't think it made it in there. 8:35 is when the kids get off the buses and when the drop off is. And then our dismissal starts at 3:10. And again, your drop off and pickup times aren't going to be those times. It'll be before that and then after that. But the actual school hours are 8:35 to 3:10 is the way they stand now. Okay. What am I missing here? School lunch routine. Can kindergarten purchase lunch in the cafeteria? Yes. That information, Marianne, that does go home over the summer, correct?
Yes.
Their packets. Yep.
Also with the application for a free and reduced lunch, that would be coming out also for parents.
Great. It said, oh, I had one more. There was a question. I think I missed it. Caroline,
I've been typing some answers.
oh, okay. So is it possible to start busing mid-year if you don't need it currently? Absolutely. Any bus changes, you can contact transportation directly if it's going to be a more permanent change. If one day of the week you need a change and they have to go to grandma and grandpa's or whatever the case may be, that can also happen, but you need a note signed by a parent or guardian in the morning. All of those changes have to be in by 11 in the morning so that we can let the transportation department know. And that's really for student safety. I know at times it can be frustrating to parents, but we're getting a lot of last minute changes. It's really hard to make sure we're communicating with the bus garage, the teacher, the bus driver, for your child's safety. We want to make sure your child knows where they're going and that, you know, they are as safe as possible. So we do ask for those in advance. What if your child does not need special education services, but like the idea of a co-taught class? How could you recommend this? Definitely put that down on the parent placement form. That was one of the pieces. Or if you've already turned that in and it's too late, don't hesitate to shoot me an email. That's fine to request that. It doesn't necessarily mean it will happen, but you can absolutely provide that information to us. I think we've gotten through all the questions.
So the
do you see any that we haven't gotten to?
No, I think we did it all. Just someone thought we should reiterate the registration email is studentregistration@canandaiguaschools.org. And if you already submitted your forms, we will. I think knowing that we will be using this replacement information now, that there might be more information coming through about placement. So do you think we could see if people could resubmit that, or? You could
just, what you could do is go right back to that email, click the form again, and you could resubmit it. Mm-hmm. And then we would just have, you know, 2 pieces of information from you, which would be fine. But also don't hesitate if you would prefer to send an email to me, that's fine as well. I can add that information. And I'll have all of that when we do the placement process. That would be fine as well.
So is there, there's a question in the chat that's not in the Q&A.
Oh, sorry.
No, is there before school programs, or how early can children go to school, or are there after school programs? And how is pickup done if you're not a bus riding student?
So before and after school programs, the YMCA does have a program right at Canandaigua Primary Elementary School. So everything is done through the YMCA though. It's not done through the school. It's their location is at the school. So definitely check out their website and their information. That's something that's happened in the past. Again, everything is up in the air for this fall, but that is something they've had before and after school. I'm not 100% sure about the hours, but I do believe you can start dropping off at 7 in the morning, and I think you can pick up as late as 5:30. Marian, do you know the exact?
I know it's 7 in the morning. I'm not sure if it's 5:30 or 6.
Okay.
I'm not positive on that one.
Yeah, but it's definitely a great option for families. And Caroline, I'm sorry, what was the other?
So if you drive your child to school, what are the procedures for that?
So at the end of the day, there's an announcement for kids that are getting picked up, and they go directly to the primary cafeteria, and that is where you will meet your child. And there is a sign out procedure that is done every day where we have staff down there and they double check the person that is actually picking up the child, that they are on the list that's approved, and we have lists and know what children are getting picked up. And then once the adults see that you are with that child, it's kind of a line process. Then you can leave with that child. It's not just kind of a free-for-all. It's very organized, and we make sure that the children are leaving with the correct adult.
We had a teacher on the call who says that the Y is open till 6.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah.
Heidi, could you talk also about if a parent is dropping a child off in the morning when the school doors at the link are open for supervised, someone supervising the children?
Yeah, so drop off really, you can start getting there about 8:30, but before that, there is no supervision. So you cannot just drop your child off, say at 8 o'clock on your way. There is no supervision there until 8:30. So if they're a few minutes before that 8:35 time, that's fine. But beyond that, there is no supervision. So you really want to time that well. And then starting at 8:50 are when the kids are considered tardy. So your window is really from 8:35 to 8:45, so they can make their way to their classroom. Mm-hmm. But the drop off is in that same parking lot that is off of West Gibson Street. So you come into the parking lot, go down the hill and around that little loop, and you drop your child off, and they can walk into the building and head to their classroom.
Good, thank you.
I think all the questions are answered. Yes. Will we receive confirmation about all the documents received? I don't think you're going to receive confirmation that all were received. If we didn't receive something in the middle of the summer, we'll probably send information.
Yeah, we will contact families of any missing information that we have. There wasn't a way to show that it was missing, and quite honestly, we know a lot of families will have things missing, and we didn't want to slow up that process by not having you be complete. We want as much as possible, because we may get guidance saying that there is a grace period for some of these documents, knowing that it's difficult to get some of them. So we didn't want to slow that process up. So we will contact you if there is something that you need. Great.
There's a question about bus routes and you know, if you have to cross the road. Transportation would be able to answer more about bus routes. We definitely work with transportation a lot, and the bus drivers, as Heidi said, are people we rely on so much. But if you have any specific questions about your route, they would be able to speak to it much more. So the transportation office number is 396-3741, 396-3741 if you want more information about busing, and they can fill you in more about their procedures in general.
I see another question about what if you have to take your child out for a doctor's appointment? You would just write a note And so that the school and the teacher knows that, you know, so-and-so is getting picked up at 10 o'clock for a doctor's appointment, and they either will or won't be back after the appointment. And then when you get there, you would go to that primary link entrance. There's a receptionist there. She would buzz you in, and then she will call down to the classroom, and someone will bring your child down to meet you right there to go to their appointment. And if they aren't coming back, we'll be sure that they're all packed up and ready to go for the day.
I think
I
that's
just want to
all.
take a minute and thank both Caroline and Marianne Pavone for being here tonight to help answer questions. It's a great team, and we are so excited to have our incoming kindergartners come. Regardless of what it looks like, we know, you know, it has the potential to be a little crazy, but regardless, just know that your children are in great hands. Canandaigua Primary School is the most amazing place, and it will be such a wonderful experience for you and for your children, regardless of what it looks like. So we thank you for taking the time. If at any point you have any questions, please don't hesitate to email or call, and we will answer those questions and chat with you if needed. No question is too small, so please don't hesitate to reach out and know how excited we are to meet our littlest braves very soon.
Yes. Thanks, everyone.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Awesome. I have the recording, so we'll post that, okay?
Okay, I don't know why my video, hang on.